in the 70s. I was 80 when I was born. So, then aunts now, so I can remember colored. You know what I'm saying? It was still colored.
Yeah, I remember them saying it.
Yeah, we
I
still
saying
colored.
but I don't remember anyone saying Negro.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like in the public sphere.
Yeah, no,
we
was
still Negroes.
Our response to being nigga, like the
Negro.
hard nigga, was
Negro.
I ain't a nigga, I'm a Negro.
I'm a Negro.
That's again, I tell you so.
Let me tell you.
Listen, there was a whole saying.
I do kind of remember hearing this before.
You so.
I heard something like that, but I don't remember hearing nobody say that. I mean, I remember some little rhyme like that. But I don't remember anyone actually identifying as a Negro. I'm serious. I remember I literally jumped from...
And you good, because you had the identification, at least the identification of Africa in your small town. Because listen, and I'm sure that y'all still said it and you heard it, but we was hard body on African porch monkey, African booty scratching. Like we were hardcore.
I never heard that stuff until I saw it on television. I never heard anyone
say you never heard African booty scratching until you seen Boys in the Hood?
Bless your soul.
No. It was something else before that I saw it on television. But I'm saying I had never heard any of that
Nobody
stuff before.
say that to somebody else?
Ever.
Really?
Ever.
Man,
I thought it was made up when I first, I'm like,
you made it. You made it in life.
Yeah.
I really thought I made it up.
I need to be raised around you.
I heard people saying it like,
we was straight ignorant.
Yeah.
We was the epitome of all ignorance.
Yeah, African booty scratching.
I mean, listen.
I want to be free. I want you to be free. I want us to be a self-governing people, not having to ask the white man or anybody for anything. All normal, healthy human beings want to be self-governing and self-determining. I want to have a black power. I want to have a black government. When I say black power, I'm talking about black freedom. I'm talking about big lip freedom. I'm talking about broad nose freedom. I'm talking about nappy hair freedom. I'm talking about boombox on your shoulder freedom. I'm talking about black freedom, freedom on our own terms.
Want to start out this first conversation with, I couldn't imagine having it with anybody else than who I felt like it got started with. You know, I think we all came into a level of awareness before we met each other, clearly. Yeah. But as far as really challenging our growth and where we've come as men, it got started right here. We missing a few, right? That's Rome, but we're gonna get there. And so I wanted to have a conversation because I'm always curious about, well, first of all, my brother Drake.
Johntown.
Brother and Conrad. See, this is the show where it ain't just Conrads, right? It's brothers and Conrads.
Right.
Indeed.
My brother and Conrad Trigg. I want to start out because I'm curious as to, I think we've had these conversations in bits and pieces with each other, but I kind of want to have it in some, you be able to tell me in some chronological order. You know, have you heard the conversation people say when you fell in love with hip hop, right? When did you fall in love with, you know, Black African global liberation? What was it, right? When was it, and what influenced you to start heading this direction in life? You know, how old were you? Whatever, you know.
I thought you were gonna start first. For me, I remember as a kid watching old black and white footage of the Panthers, and I mean like really young. And plus, it was people who actually was in the Panthers or who was in things that was associated with it, like different organizations that was still around when I was growing up. So I used to hear them talking about the stuff. That kind of influenced me somewhat, you know. And then just hearing the stories about the tragedies that our people went through from my own family, you know, like, because I always bring it up, I grew up in a town with a slave market in the center. Mm-hmm. So that kept me aware of all that. So I always had love for us getting out of the struggle, you know what I mean? So that what motivated me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it was no major shift for you?
No.
It's kind of lingering there.
Yeah. Right.
So
what it is?
Bird?
Yeah. Same. Wasn't no major shift for me. You know what I mean? Just basically just the way I came up. So I had older parents. So I was always around elders. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother, I think my pops was like 50 when I was born. My mom's in her 40s. You know what I'm saying? Lived with my grandmother. So just being around elders, you know, they talk about like, you know, hospital beds, being up in people's houses. All that was normal. All that was normal for me. Just, you know, going around, you know, seeing just blackness everywhere. And I mean, it wasn't like no super conscious, but I didn't have the over religious family. So, you know, went to church and stuff like that. But, you know, they weren't overly religious. It was about family. It was about blackness. And just appreciating that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I just really don't do white people. That never was my thing. It ain't really no other way around it. You know, it just really wasn't my thing. You know, that's the white people I was cool with, but you know, I just always understood there was a difference. I always understood there was a difference. You know, shows used to come on back in the day, so I remember, you know, looking at. I don't know if a lot of people it was Roots. But probably my first one I saw was a woman called Moses. Yeah. So, you know, Harriet was, you know, Harriet, I was big on Harriet Tubman. And just really what that whole thing looked like. And I don't know, but it wasn't no major shift. Not for me, it wasn't no major shift. Just always had, you know, a love for the people and just began to develop that and grow that. And I think like some of my partners, they saw it. You know, they used to be like, oh, you was always on that. You was always on that stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I didn't even necessarily even know it, you know what I mean? When we was running around terrorizing people and doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I like to believe mine wasn't a major shift because, you know, with my pops, it was around. Like, my pops, I think I grew up, cracker could have easily been my first word. I heard it so much in the household.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, my pop come home, eat crackers, crackers. So clearly, you can tell what kind of household I came in. We ain't had no white folks sliding through. We ain't had
none of that.
And, you know, growing up in Goldsboro, partially, all black side of town, didn't see white folks. And even in Charlotte, just grew up in areas where just wasn't no, I had white teachers. I had so that interaction I just didn't have. But, you know, my pops, you know, thinking back, remembering like having Wretched of the Earth in the house. Yeah. And my pops always keeping that, you know, refreshing a set of encyclopedias maybe every 5 years. The Britannicas, and this when they was going door to door. Selling.
Right. Yeah.
But just, you know, you ain't got no homework, go in there and grab the D and start, oh man. So
we had the World Book inside.
The World Book inside.
Yeah, that's what I had.
So you know, I think some level of awareness, having a Steve Biko t-shirt when I was young and stop apartheid in South Africa, you know, going outside, my friends not knowing, like, I couldn't fully explain it. I knew his name, you know what I mean? But I couldn't fully explain it. So though it was around me, it felt more like a task to kind of engage it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just was young, wanting to have fun. I ain't want to engage. This is too deep.
Yeah.
You know, and so by the time I hit 7th grade, I fully discovered girls. Like, they was there before, but 7th grade, they came alive. Like, so in my imagination, in order for me to get a girl, and I wasn't no athlete or no pretty boy,
it'd be smarter than everybody.
I had to be a gangster. See, I wish I would have came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
I wish I had.
I forgot that.
See, I went the other way.
Yeah, me too.
I went the other way.
Yeah,
and so
me too.
I had fully engaged in all the ignorance of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I submersed myself in drinking Mad Dog and Thunderbird and, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it was happening right then.
All the gas stations.
And you know, with hip hop, you can have all the gas station stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah. High end was when we was Boone's Bond, you know, Strawberry Hill was the Apple Orchard. It was high end. We was showing off that day. So when I think it was, oh man, had a had a moment that just in life, I call it the welcome to the white world moment. And at the same time I was having that moment, right, here come my philosophy. Here come, now I'm younger brother sounding different to me. All this now hip hop giving me, they feeding this moment that I had. And that was my welcome was through hip hop. Like it was this moment. Now informed, like let me explain to you what this moment is. Hip hop helped explain that moment to me. Though my daddy been said, Cracker, don't trust him, don't be around him. I never engaged having little white girls or nothing because my daddy literally just, he didn't even put it in context. He just opened up the Jet magazine with Emmett Till and say, this is what happened when you talk white girls. I was like, whoa, listen, he didn't tell me what happened to him, how it happened, just
no details.
So I just thought, like, as soon as you said hi, I don't know whether it was a disease or white, like I didn't know. But I just know I didn't want that to happen to me. Yeah. So, any little white girl I might have seen in school wasn't going to get talked to.
I remember the Jet magazine. Of course, when I guess they did a reissue or something like that. Yeah, I remember my little boy. And, I remember the Emmett Till, my mom and them explaining that, what that was about and things of that nature. Man, yeah. And but when you talk about that now, I will say that, that hip KRS-One, man, philosopher. I tell you, I said, man, that when hip hop saved my life. I say, it saved my life. Like, like that thing was like boom.
Yeah.
For me, yeah. Philosophy. And I'm not a huge KRS fan, as y'all know. We about to go on a hip hop debate in here. But I'm not a huge KRS-One fan, even though, I acknowledge him as being one of the greats. I'm not a huge fan.
But we talk about that Poor Righteous Teacher. We was just talking about before we started recording. Like that was that whole moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I say it saved me. Listen, it put me somewhere. It put me somewhere else psychologically. Now I want to read.
Yeah.
Now I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm still on the block. It's crazy. I'm still on the block, but I'm the dude on the block with the book, or I'm espousing when the police come. My rhetoric about the police ain't gangster rhetoric no more. It's Black Panther. It's Black Panther rhetoric. They the pigs. You know what I mean? So now I'm espousing a whole new language. My lexicon is different now through these influences. Now, rest of the earth, different.
Yeah.
In the house. Okay. It still wasn't immediate because I still, I was in.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I'm just out. I'm in. And I remember I got sentenced to do a psychological evaluation in this, mental health facility. And I was in there wilding out, calling them all kind of crackers and everything. They hit me with, they put me on these restraint beds and shoot me with Thorazine and, but I'm wilding. And I remember my pops dropped off 2 books in particular I remember. I think it was 3 books, but the 2 I remember was Autobiography of Malcolm X and Native Son.
Wow.
Come on, bigger.
Yeah.
So these are the first books I've ever read cover to cover.
Yeah, Bigger Thomas was out of chain.
Come on, man. Right? So then I remember these 2 guys who worked there, 2 brothers, one cat from Jamaica, right, Peter, and another cat, Mr. Williams. I used to be on this restricted side where they don't let you wear your own clothes. I'm just like in the blue scrubs because I showed out so much. And I had never seen these brothers. And remember Peter came over to the restricted side because he was like, man, I keep hearing about this little dude over here wilding who can't get off restricted unit. He said, I had no idea it was a little brother. Like, man, what is you doing? And he still started putting me up on game. Like, you ain't gonna never get, what that stuff they shooting you with is, man. Like, it's gonna mess your mind up, man. You're gonna be drooling for the rest of your life if you ain't kept, like. So he taught me into it. He saw what Pops had read. He like, read that. Like, you need to read these.
Yeah.
I get off the restricted unit. Byron, Mr. Williams used to work in the morning. So we used to sit, play tunk, and he just would school me on just being a black man and how this whole system Like, you gotta learn how to go into these little therapist offices and these little group things
Play
and
the
play the game.
Play the game.
You gotta go home, bro.
Right.
And so I think all of those kind of moments started to help shape and mold me. But unfortunately for me, I had already done enough that when I was falsely accused of a robbery with a dangerous weapon, I didn't have any character witnesses.
Yeah.
You know, people only didn't believe I did it because what was taken. It wasn't the robbery. Like, oh no, he wouldn't do that. It's like, But when they found out like how it went down, what was taken, like, oh yeah, he ain't gonna do that. Like that. But I didn't have no character witness. I had no way of. So here I am facing 40 years. I get sentenced to 14-7 mandatory. But it was at this time that I, going into that cocoon, taking all the hip hop, the books I've now read, and being able to sit still long enough to become more. But even before I left, I was going to CP. I started the first black student, or helped start the first black student organization at CP, and I became part of one of the first Muslims because I took my shot and became Muslim again. All this hip hop influence, all these things. I'm listening, Lakim Shabazz,
5%
yeah, 5% of stuff,
Nation
Ansar Laws.
Right,
You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? I'm seeing all this, and I'm like, oh shoot, this the
path.
That's the path. This the way to go. Farrakhan, everybody had the Farrakhan cassette tapes. You know what I mean? And he in every other conscious song, interlude or something with Farrakhan in it. So these things kind of help mold me. But I want to ask you, what was my granddad said, every black man, every black person have a welcome to the white world. The white hegemony, white dominated world. Not that they own it, but they dominate the world. What was your first moment where you put it all together? Like, oh man.
Let me go back a little bit and get to that, because like both of you talk about like having these choices where you go book or you go like straight hard, right? I guess what saved me from that being in a small town, because I was doing my little things, but it wasn't never like extreme criminality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but for me, my mom bought me the World Book, and she bought something else one time too. But we had the World Book was my favorite though. I guess because they had a little gold trimming on the pages.
Trim on. You had the brown edition of the white one.
Brown, of course.
Yeah,
brown.
so I had the brown to gold. Yeah.
But she bought me this book, man. That's called A Volume Library, and the book is about this thick, and it's a big book. It's about this thick. I remember reading about Afghanistan in this book, and they was talking about Afghanistan in the 70s, because this book was 80. This came out in the 80s. So we're talking about Afghanistan in the 70s. So Afghanistan was like a bustling place and everything, and I remember reading, they was talking about Afghan blankets and all this stuff. I was reading about that. 'Cause my mom used to make crochet all the time. So and then I was like, the Afghan word look like Africa, I associate that kind of stuff. But anyway, long story short, my mom liked reading. She said she used to read a lot when she was pregnant with me. So I always liked reading. I always was digging it. The problem is I couldn't find anything that I would like reading on a regular basis that wasn't forced by school. So for me, given the background of living, like I say, living in a town that's predominantly black, school that I went to was predominantly black. So like when they integrated schools, these white folks built this I think it existed before, but they all went to this one school, and mainly all the blacks went to this other school, the public school. And we had some white people there, but it was never a significant number. We had some white teachers, but we had a lot of black teachers. And some of the teachers that we had, they was there before. They actually educated my mom. So I had an older generation of teachers. So we kept getting instilled with like a race first thing, make your people look good, don't ever embarrass your people, your family, and us. It was always that being circulated in our minds too.
Don't embarrass us. Yeah,
don't embarrass us. And I always had it in the back of my head. My mom always said that.
Yeah.
So it ain't just you.
That's
I
huge.
always live with it's not just me. It's always, you might embarrass somebody
huge.
else. So I grew up with cats who always had schemes. And these are the people I hung out with. In fact, how I got introduced to KRS-One is this cat, he ended up going to YDC, Youth Detention Center, for like burglary or something. And he came back with Criminal Minded. So I heard that through him. And so that's how I kind of got on that. But I was already in hip hop, but that's how I got on KRS-One. But since I liked them so much, when they released, is the album called My Philosophy? What's the name of the album? Is it? It's not called
Criminal Minded.
No, that ain't
the second one. What's the second one called?
Boogie Down Productions. I think
It's just called Boogie Down? Yeah, that second album.
Yeah.
So I was familiar with who they were when it came out. So when I saw that, one of my other friends who used to go spend the summers with his mom in Rochester, New York, he just happened to be home, and my philosophy came out, and he was like, you know who that is behind Karis when it's a picture of Malcolm. But I didn't know who Malcolm was. So I don't even think I ever even heard Malcolm's name. You know what I'm saying? I grew up with hearing about King, John Lewis, and all these cats from the South. So he explained who Malcolm was. I was like, oh, he's like, nah, ain't no rapper now. He was saying, Malcolm X. He explained who he was, you know what I'm saying? And so I got interested in that. So by me hearing about Malcolm, then I ended up studying, hearing about Elijah Muhammad. So what linked me to that, Karis Wondon was in Harlem doing the Harlem Book Festival. He's walking through, he said, this is a book every black man should read, and it's Message to the Black Man. So the first book I read from cover to cover without being forced was Message to the Black Man. So that's what led me to Islam through that. But I didn't go through the nation. I went directly from that to Sunni. You know, I skipped, I didn't even go through I was always political anyway. So that really didn't matter. So I always wanted to go, because I always dealt with the orthodoxy, you know what I mean? Like hearing about orthodox. So that's how I jumped with that. But anyway, but being surrounded by that stuff, I already had a level of militancy, because my family, my grandfather, my great aunt, they all tend to work for white people, and a company that some white person, small company white person run. If something was going out with white folks, they would come back and tell all the black people this is what they plan on doing. So I had that element in my family of somebody like playing that spook that sat by the door, that kind of thing. So with that, with having that kind of background and hearing these stories, and my mom telling me about how it was during their childhood when they was growing up during the late 60s, early 70s, I got my acculturation, through them with that. So my biggest moment is I think just seeing, because I didn't have a whole lot of dealings with white folks. So I think one pivotal moment we realized how real this thing is. It was like a Halloween, and some white kids I'm not sure if they was adults or kids. They went around throwing like baby pumpkins, and they hit a black kid. And I don't know if the kid got paralyzed. Something happened to the kid though, and the kid got hurt real bad. You know what I'm saying? And it was so I always heard to talk about them. So my personal experience with them, I didn't have to deal with them as much because I lived in a predominantly black town.
Now, whether that's you growing up or that's you last year, like when it hit you, like what this is, right? Like a lot of times we can read the book and theorize this life, right? We may not have come in contact with it. I ain't have to deal with them when I was young. There were a few incidents because Goldsboro was divided by a railroad track, right. And the other side was completely white. So we knew if we was going over there, the public pool was on the white side of town.
Right, same with us.
So to have, when my parents say it got to be at least 10 of y'all, and at least so many of y'all got to be of this age or y'all can't go. And then knowing one out of 4 times of us going, we got to fight our way back.
Right, because it's too many
track.
Yeah. It's always
fight our way back to the track. Like, so it was those moments, right? But I don't even think at that time it resonated like when I say
I get what you're saying.
Hegemony. Like
when I was in high school,
it
happened because I'm in a guidance counselor's office, and this guy tells me, I told him, I want to go to college, and he tells me, with your grades, you come out better going to the Army. So the whole trying to case me into what he think I am, you know what I mean? I always had elements of writing. I mean, this teacher, this white lady, matter of fact, and in 9th grade, she was like, man, you're a good writer. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have no idea that I used to write a lot, but I didn't think that it was like great, you know what I'm saying? She was like, you can write. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And she kind of inspired me to really start writing, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was like, you should write, you know what I'm saying? Because you could do that, But this guy said that, and I was like, think about what Malcolm talking about. People say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. It was that moment there where I realized, like, these folks really, really try to pigeonhole you in a certain position, and a status. And so that moment there is like, okay, I'm gonna defeat the odds. I'm gonna go the other way. Whatever you tell me I can't do, I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I went to college.
So I know for me. So again, I don't think it was a moment.
Yeah.
It was for me. It was. I don't know. I always knew. Mm-hmm. I always knew. Like, I remember I'm in 1st grade. Miss Wilson. we get in there and I tell her, you know what I'm saying, like you ain't my mom, you can't tell me what to do. And you know,
Sound about right.
you know,
Sound about like you.
yeah, you know, you can't tell. None of it because I was, but it wasn't because I was just a little bad little boy, you know, because I wasn't, you know. It was because she was white. It's really weird. She was an old white lady. And I'm like, you and my mom, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
You know? And so so we had I don't know, what they call it, another teacher in the room.
Substitute.
No.
Teacher's aide.
Yeah.
Teacher assistant. Yeah,
Teacher
yeah.
assistant.
Yeah.
She was my cousin. You know what I'm saying? She was my cousin. But so she like, you gotta calm down, tell me to calm down, It just so happened she was my cousin. So you had that incident, going to the center. I grew up going to, so the center that I grew up going to, it wasn't like, so I grew up going to the Salvation Army Community Center, which is more like a boys and girls club versus
County Rec.
No, like the projects. So like all the projects got, like we had BC, Cecil Wilson's. They was kind of geared towards a particular project. Yeah. As compared to just like a lot of vast people went to the center that I grew up going to. So, it was, what I'm saying, it was always, it was probably predominantly black, but you had a few white people up in there, and but they mostly poor white people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying, which I really didn't understand. Fortunately, my parents, I had a type of parents and a family that didn't make a huge deal about money. So if it was a revelation, it was a realization. It was when I got to high school. You know what I mean? Because that was probably the first time where everybody wasn't on the same economic plane. Mm-hmm. When I got there, and I'm like, whoa, But like I can remember, I was in 7th grade, Miss Sheriff. Shit, excuse me. I don't know. Can I cuss?
Absolutely.
Because I cuss. All right,
Listen,
cuss.
don't start acting like
Yeah, I mean,
this
but
ain't
either way, Miss Sheriff. So because I always, you know what I'm saying, because like I said, always when we got to talking about history and things of that nature, as soon as they start bringing on, in school, they start bringing on the slavery and all this. It from that point on, it was always an argument. Every year, my mom and them was in school. My mom and dad had to come to the school every year. You know what I'm saying? Because I won't be quiet in class. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm talking. But like I said, a lot of it wasn't because I was bad. A lot of it because I was bored. And you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't being pushed towards excellence. And then, and because I recognized a difference. And I would speak on it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think that was my hardest thing. That anytime I sensed authority abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anytime I was a peewee. Mm-hmm. Anytime I feel like you trying to do that just because you can. Yeah. You ain't right.
Yeah.
And I always, so it ain't never surprising for me to find myself in the mind frame and the set that I'm in now. But like I hear we saying this, right? And we didn't grow up together.
Yeah.
But I imagine similar times, we similar age, 80s, what have you. But it still had to be a moment, like even with identity.
Yeah.
Even with coming into this and the process of coming into this thinking, it took me a while to get rid of nigga. Like the identity crisis, like
to get rid of.
No.
To shed it.
Yeah, like when you start, I can remember when I started saying to people, "Don't call me that. I ain't your."
Right.
Like but there was also a time where that was zero problems, like in my life, and I identified like I can't even pinpoint. I'll be honest with you, I probably didn't become an African until around 98 when I just decided like to identify as an African and as a Pan-African, so just whatever, like prior to that, I ain't sure. I knew I ain't want you to call me. I wasn't that.
Yeah.
But again, my whole world was still people I grew up with. And it get tiring like, come on, bro, stop. But they just who they are, and I can't forget that I was just right there. Like even though I went away, I come home, they still right there. But even in that process, when I was a teenager, I think that even if you'd have asked me, like what I identified with, I remember stop wearing gold. I had that moment, right? Yeah. People dying in the mines. Look, I couldn't prove nothing. People dying in the mines of Africa about this, going. I'm just go wear wood. Or silver. I think I went to silver. Yeah. Like it ain't mine too, but in my mind it was better than gold and diamonds because that's what we was hearing through the music, through the conversations, and what happened. Gold and diamonds was the absolute worst.
Yeah. But again, on my side, I never had those issues because I grew up in a town with a slave market, so it was always the reminder that, okay, I came here this way. Gotcha. So I always associated with Africa because of that.
Gotcha.
Didn't think about this until I became an adult though, but it was always there. It was always there. I'm an African because, not necessarily saying,
but we're not different being black. Identify as one? Cause
I identify as somebody.
And them said things.
Yeah, but I'm
like the elders, I ain't come from that people like, I grow up, I ain't even here. Like, no. All the old, like my granddaddy, my uncles and them, like they might be listening to Thelonious Monk, drinking some Crown, playing some chess. But when they talk to each other, that's what it was.
No, I'm not saying that some people necessarily going around saying I'm African, I'm whatever. I'm not a nigga, I'm African or whatever. But what I'm saying is the consciousness of knowing that you are this is your lineage because that thing is there. Yeah. So that kept you aware that, okay, I'm obviously not the same as these people who actually had me in bondage.
Yeah.
So that always kept us aware of that. Everybody down there is still militant. But they still got militancy. You know what I mean? But they still kind of got the humility too. But when they ain't around, they talk. That kind of mentality.
So that's what I was gonna say a second ago. 7th grade, Miss Sheriff, one of these argument, but she didn't even teach. She don't even teach. She even taught. So I can't remember who was the social studies teacher in the 7th grade. But I clearly remember. I can't remember nothing else about the 7th grade except this. And talking about whatever she was talking about, and I'm making one of my arguments, and she said, you better be glad slavery happened, because you could be in Africa.
Could be in Africa.
The worst statement you could ever say with me.
Where is she at? Where is she now?
I don't know. She was about 300 pounds, so she's probably dead. But she probably dead.
Listen, but do you remember? And I know I'm that's slightly older than y'all, but y'all remember when it wasn't cool to be black?
Yeah. Like, we all heard you into that black stuff.
I'm talking to y'all. I was always, you know what I'm saying, you cute to be dark skinned and
but we would call ourselves Negro. Like, no, I ain't black.
It wasn't cool. It wasn't cool.
I've heard people say that. I don't know. I heard people say it on the television.
I grew up with that. Like
I've never heard anybody say that.
I just said it. Or I'm about to show my color.
Well,
I've heard that.
So what I'm saying. So but that was.
I remember going from Negro to Afro-American. I remember that switch over.
That was probably.
I wasn't
to be all the way real, when you just say that, to be real. So my philosophy, because I always want to get like argue and debate. So everything got levels, everything got growth. So trying to love blackness without necessarily loving black, what you're talking about. Yeah. Not necessarily being cool to be black. Trying to differentiate it. Jesse Jackson coming through with the, what was it? He was Afro-American. He started Afro-American.
Jesse gave it Afro.
Trying to figure it out. And what I'm saying? Like I said, I got older, what I'm saying? So my grandma was in her 70s. I was 80 when I was born. So then aunts now, so I can remember colored. You know what I'm saying? It was still colored.
Yeah, I remember them saying it.
Yeah, we
I remember
still
saying
colored.
but I don't remember anyone saying Negro.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking like in the public.
Oh, you
public
was
sphere.
Yeah, no,
we
we
was still Negroes. We was still
our
Negroes.
response to being nigga, like the
Negro.
hard nigga,
I'm a
was I ain't
Negro.
a nigga, I'm a Negro.
I'm a Negro.
That's
I'm saying,
again,
I've
I tell you
never-
so.
let me tell you.
Listen, there was a whole saying.
I do kind of remember hearing this
I tell
before.
you so.
I heard something like that, but I don't remember hearing anybody say that. I mean, I remember some little rhyme like that.
Yeah,
But I don't
yeah.
remember anyone actually identifying as a Negro.
we was
I'm
crazy.
serious.
And
I
then-
remember I literally jumped for.
And you good because
Well-
you had the identification, at least the identification of Africa in your small town. Because listen, and I'm sure that y'all still said it and you heard it, but we was hard body on African porch monkey, African booty scratcher.
African
like
booty
we were
scratcher.
hardcore.
I never
on
heard that
these-
stuff until I saw on television. I never heard
bless your
anyone
So
say
you
that.
never heard African booty scratch till you seen Boys in the
Bless your
Hood?
soul.
No. No. It was something else before that I saw it on television. But I'm saying I had never heard any of that
Nobody
stuff before.
say that to somebody else.
Ever.
Really?
Ever.
Man, look
I
at
thought
you.
it was
man.
made up when I first. I'm like,
You
really?
made it. You made it in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought I
crazy.
made it up.
I need
Yeah,
to be
African
raised
booty
around
scratcher.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard people saying it like,
We was straight ignorant.
Yeah.
I heard
We was
none
the
of that.
epitome of all ignorance.
Yeah, African booty scratcher.
I mean, listen,
That was
Hi, baby. Listen, we did.
I heard that.
everything.
I heard that.
Everything.
What I'm saying is like, because people still had this notion that Africa was still filled with disease and you go over there you can get sick, that kind of stuff. I mean, you got people who believe that now.
Did you have a curl?
A Jerry curl? No, I had an S
Did
curl.
you have to listen?
I never had a curly
Look at
kid.
you now, though.
hey.
You got them now.
Yes,
You
curl,
ain't need
baby.
them.
Hold on. You look at me now. What my hair got to do? Calm down.
You got that natural shit. Listen, I ain't saying that you a pen. I'm just saying it don't require S.
Okay.
When you had that pull up,
Well, you know what I'm
when you
saying,
had, as
I
my
was-
grandma say, he got that pull up and park.
Girl, you know what I'm saying? When I was born, I was dumped in the ocean. Yeah, I mean, when I was born, my mama took and dumped me in the ocean. And you know what I'm saying? Introduced me to the ancestors that I came up.
That's way it came.
Loose.
Look how you did that. You see it? Well, we're going to have to talk about that.
Hey.
But that idea of not being okay, like that's why I brought it up, because we really struggle with identity. We still struggle with identity.
this up?
Yeah, absolutely. Take a sip of this good old Caroline tree. Don't do it now if you ain't.
But wait a minute, why do
You
I
got
have
him.
why do I have two?
The one with your finger on it now. Pick that one up.
The color code say danger. Danger. A B before holding.
Leave for Hodier.
Leave before holding.
Leave for Hodier.
That's it. To the ancestors.
And it's smooth.
That's that South
That's good. That's good. That's that hooch
That's
pap
that
water. That's that hooch pap. Yeah.
Creek water.
Yeah.
That's smooth.
Grandma said you gonna go blind
Yeah.
out there mess with that creek water.
That's that hooch pap water.
Man, that's smooth, yeah.
But we still like the fact that we arguing ADOS and Foundational Black America. All this, like we really still struggle, and that's why I thought it was important that even just from just a base level, that ain't from no scholarship standpoint, that we live through multiple identities.
Yeah.
And that we had to choose this.
Yeah.
There was no institutions designed coming up, right, to give us this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a quick question,
go
though.
ahead.
Let me ask you one quick question. I've come to the realization that I was delusional in thinking that it was more of us than it is.
Talking about
Us meaning what?
awareness.
Awareness, yeah.
Oh.
I thought it was more of us
But
than
it's
it is.
levels. Like Dre say though, it is, but it's about where you
I'm
at.
not even talking about on some seriously deep level. I'm talking on a level of like, there was no, from my understanding, from what I felt, there was no way that ADOS or Foundation of Black Americans could have even took hold, that we had already moved beyond that. Now I knew,
You slid.
but I knew there might have been some issues with some people saying like Africa's soldiers and enslaved, that kind of basic stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't look at, it's their viewpoint, whereas they always thought like Africa always been this whole piece, like it's never been broken up these many nations inside of this continent, because people didn't identify the as an African continent until like
I think it's
19th
also,
century.
listen, and some of these dudes old enough to know better, and I think
That's what I feel.
they're taking advantage of they pimping another younger generation mindset, right? That don't know no better. That didn't have to sit at the feet, literally sit at the feet of an elder to get the information.
Right.
To sit through hours of a VHS
or at
tape,
an extra lecture.
Cassette tapes and take notes and to get it like you had to go read the books, like you had to dig through the crate. Like it wasn't no punch in Google. This gonna come up. You talking about card catalog, encyclopedia to get it. That when you got it, you earned it, and it resonate different than when I'm getting. It's like saying you know about a particular sports, but all you do is watch highlights on ESPN. You got all the highlights, but never how we got to and we ain't get no highlight reel.
And you don't even know the processes or how it what it takes to get to getting the information, accumulating the information, and how you sort and like, okay, this is right, this is wrong, whatever. They don't even know the processes.
Yeah. Well, but I think one thing I know we done all discussed this over the years. So for me, and I like to point out for anybody that maybe listen, because so you come to what you come to by different ways through different journeys, right? So and for me, I didn't it wasn't like somebody sat me down and started dropping jewels to me. It wasn't a book. It wasn't any of that for me.
Yeah.
And so I know like a lot of people that I met.
Incremental. It was a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It was just like really.
Time.
I mean, it was like the way I came up, the life, and the way what I mean. I just knew, and and them lessons come, them Jews come, self psychology. You know what I'm saying? Like when I eliminated, I eliminated. I stopped calling myself a nigga. A long time ago, went from it being fine, but it was really through self psychology. Yeah. To say like, nah, but I'm clear that, but I don't feel like I can't use the word at all, because if I'm talking about something, I'm explaining something like just now, then I will use it. Yeah. Where some people don't use it at all, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But people like with the N word, I'm like. That's crazy to me, but I'm like, that's the same thing.
Where I'm challenged with that is this, because I think once I say N-word, your mind
stupid. I mean, I ain't gonna say stupid. I don't say stupid.
Your mind say the actual word, so you still heard it. Like your mind translate N-word, like so you still heard it.
Yeah, like somebody say I don't cuss, but say I'm gonna kick your ass. I be like, like whatever, man, I want to cuss. But
have the same effect on your consciousness.
But you know what I mean. But then coming through, cause man. We all go back over 20 years now. Plus, over 20 years now, right? So, where we never had the issue with calling each other, calling each other nigga. Being around a lot of the different cats we done been around throughout the years, hip hop heads and, cause I never had much issues with the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like my folk, well, I ain't had no really issue with that. Because, a lot of times, they knew who I was, they knew where I stood. You know what I'm saying? Here. Plus, so it's like, the respect was there, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't no thing. They said whatever. I would have more of an issue with the so-called supposed to be conscious cats. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they would be the ones who I would get the argument from. The conscious cats would be the ones I would get the argument from about the nigga thing. The street cat would be like, oh man, my bad, this is how I talk. And then, what I'm saying, and like absolutely. That. But it'd be a so-called conscious cat.
We'll give you some deep some deep breakdown.
Get the fuck out of here.
Come from the nagging.
Stop. Give me another Ethiopian word.
Cut all that out.
Give me another Ethiopian word.
You're not a linguist, sir.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Over there. Relax. You saw a SETI video and you're running with it. Yeah. So, but speaking of the 20 plus years of brotherhood, comradeship, because that's a huge thing, right? That a lot of people kind of formulate these levels of bonds in childhood. Like childhood food, we've been through the thick and thin together. So interesting enough, and Roman's not here, right? But interesting enough, I met everybody through poetry.
Yes.
Right? And I meet Trig, the funny. Trig is the funniest encounter though, right? Because my daughter's mother came home one day and said, "Man, there was this guy talking about he doing some natural hair calendar."
Hey,
Right? Listen,
that's
Trig,
my goal,
I know
though.
you was
I was trying to.
tell you about that, Trig.
He think I was trying to. He thought I was trying to penny hustle or something. No.
Listen, I believe you, brother. But I'm just saying how I came home. Just playing how it happened.
He probably like.
She
probably like. Yeah,
I'm
right.
just-
Yeah,
listen,
right.
listen.
He probably like.
She
Yeah,
didn't.
right.
More importantly, she didn't believe you. Forget what I believe. She didn't believe you. So I was like, "Oh, for real? That's crazy, right?" Fast forward a couple of weeks, we happen to be up at Crawford's, right?
Yeah.
They got the
Crawford's,
poetry going on upstairs. She tapped me, Shonda tapped me and say, "That's the guy right there." he fresh off the mic. And this dude, some size, this dude, I'm gonna holler at him later. we end up rapping. It turned into a 4-hour conversation, and we've been thick ever since, right? This guy, let me tell you, we had it used to be what was it used to? What was the name? It
Across
changed
from
some of the
CP.
name. The one that was by Red Sea.
Tonic?
No. Tonic was on
Directly
right
across the
next
street,
to
the vault.
Yeah,
The vault.
Yeah,
The vault.
Yeah.
We at the vault. Funny night because Fillmore hosted, and he keep calling Frazier DJ Flavor. Frazier like, "You call me Flavor one more time, right?" So we get through the night. I'm in the parking lot. It seemed like it might have been a little misty or somehow.
That's
when we
us when it
standing
was
in the
misty.
parking lot.
That was our night when it was misty.
Yeah. Okay, that was our night.
Yeah.
And I see this green Explorer pull up, right? When to come down. Brother don't even get out the car. He lean out the window. My man, Turner, you serious about that stuff you was saying in your poem? You just talking. I'm like,
Who is this cat?
oh, yeah, slow up. What is about to get stupid, you know? But I must have felt something.
Yeah.
You know, I say, "Nah, fam, that's me. That's what I'm about." Thick as thieves. Now we've all seen each other grow. When I first met you, I think you were the only person that had a child. And you're already a daddy, right? We were in our 20s. How has this commitment, right, or trying to hold on to this commitment to be African-centered, to have maybe even a certain type of maybe diet or awareness or whatever, how has it changed? How has your life been impacted? What may be some challenges, some ups and downs with this life versus life in general? Because we know we live in our own world,
Our bubble.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. But the rest, whether it's family, whether it's who we had children with, right? Because we ain't always make those conscious choices.
Right.
They ain't informed how we chose that, right?
Right,
That's
right,
just to be honest, right?
Right, yeah.
And so when now it's a child involved, and I stand here, and you know, I didn't need you to stand on this when it was just you.
Right, exactly.
But now it's us three. I kind of need you to stand on some of this and that dynamic. But how has, whether it's jobs, career, whatever, like how has this commitment to Black liberation, you know, this global African thing?
I start that one. So I am fully committed to Blackness. I'm fully committed to my people. I'm fully committed to create. Y'all know me. Creation, ancestors, family, community. That's it. You know, you start to hear that more as a thing now, but you know, my brothers, they know that, like, that's how I always talk. Yeah. So I really haven't had a lot of ups and downs because I'm not a joiner. So I didn't come through it by way of Islam. I didn't come through it by way of none of that. None of that, you know, never resonated with me. You know, a lot of it I don't really even like, to be real with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, a lot of it through, self psychology. Like I said, it wasn't like I was listening to somebody and just all of a sudden decided nigga wasn't it. The same way I eliminated nigga from my vocabulary, I don't never refer to black women as bitches and whores. Right. And I just kind of came to that, it's in my mind, because I'm like, anytime I make a blanket call women bitches, or I blanket call women hoes, I was only talking to black women. So I'm like, well, let me eliminate that from my vocabulary. Stuff like that. My family, my brother, my older brother, he in the Nation of Islam. He joined the nation a long time ago. Like coming out of the 80s, my brother. So, my parents didn't give my brother no fight on that. They never gave me no fight on how I was. So, and not just my parents, my family across the board, they ain't never, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't go in and try to argue and fight with my family on what they should and shouldn't be, because we was always family. Yeah. And you know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? And that was what was important. I already was kind of, did my own thing. So I was cool with it, you know what I'm saying? It frustrated me because we are not where we should be as a people. Yeah. But I didn't have a whole lot of, you know what I'm saying, in terms of, where I should be, where I shouldn't be. If I ate a certain way, it's just because that was just the way I chose to eat. I stopped eating, you know what I'm saying? I didn't eat pork, I don't eat red meat because I don't think it's healthy. Yeah. It didn't have nothing to do with, you know what I'm saying? It didn't have nothing to do with all that for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? For other people, whatever, I can dig it. But, you know what I'm saying? I don't really think, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it is a Jesus. I don't think Jesus give a damn whether you eat whatever. Like, who cares? I don't know. But I guess if that's what they need, it's Ramadan now, ain't it? Don't eat while the sun up, whatever, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Whatever gonna make you stronger in life, by all means do that.
But please be Bird on here. Don't be nothing different than Bird now. I appreciate that. Don't forget all the production of this thing. That ain't why we here. we just recording history right now. That's all.
Yeah, so we talking about us and the truth of our relationship, because you know what I'm saying. So I can't. Y'all know how I've been. Yeah, I've been that way forever. I've been that way forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, fact. Like he ain't never had another script.
Right.
Like this the script right here.
Yeah.
I done a couple. And Bird be like, well, welcome back. I've been right here waiting on you to come. Make that loop around, because even with you, and I want you to jump into yours, because, and it's something in particular, and we brothers, and I really don't, I want us to have this conversation like we always just had conversations, because I think our dynamic, that's why it was important to me. And even moving forward, it ain't just about this one moment. We don't have, because our dynamics. But you put me, I think we all gave each other something, right? That we wasn't on at the time we met. Like for you, for me, I didn't know who, none of the metaphysics. I had never heard of metaphysics. I don't know what metaphysics was. I ain't never, he set me down, and I remember trying to watch Bobby Hemmett for the first time. Like, what in the world? Why is this dude cussing so much? Right? I can't get to the information because I can't get past the delivery, right? The Phil Valentine's, the Devitt Blands, the da-da-da-da-da. So I also seen you, right, make some adjustments, some turns and all that, become a new father, all of that. How has this been for you from personal, like even just,
Yeah, I think one of the biggest impacts is like, I can say 1998, the early part of 99, I can't tell you what was going on in pop culture at all, because all I was doing was chewing up books and going to lectures and stuff like that. I have no idea what's going on. The only thing I do know about is Jay-Z coming on the scene, because one of my neighbors, I used to go see him one time, because he grew up in a town near me. I was in Augusta at this time, and he grew up in a town near me. And I saw him, he had been in prison, so he got out, so he changed his life around or whatever. So he was playing Jay-Z when I go. That's how I found out who Jay-Z. I do remember Jay-Z from back with jazz though, but his solo thing. So I don't know what was going on in pop culture, so I did a lot of reading. I didn't realize it, but I read so many books then that I was like a walking library, you know, and
Still like a walking library.
so
Like that changed.
being accustomed to, because I was living by myself, so the TV wasn't on or anything. I was just reading. So being in that mind frame, then moving here, I had a roommate for about 6 months. Then I was by myself again. So I was back doing the reading thing, because I moved here December '99. So fast forward, having a family, not having that time to be alone as much changed. But fortunately, I got a wife who don't have a problem with being in the same house and not being together all the time.
Yeah,
so that's a big plus. For us changing, like like with you, my family never been the kind of family that's like point fingers or heavy judgmental. Yeah. They just like any typical black family that make a joke or something about you. Like when I was growing up, my cousin's father every time he see me like Elijah Muhammad, he would call me that, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't offended by it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
It was that kind of thing. So we had that kind of relationship. So, but they never judged me like, oh, he off doing his own thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I grew up with a family that didn't believe in classism. In fact, I didn't even really know what classism was. I mean, I read about it, heard about it, but like in practice, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was until I moved here. And I started seeing how different blacks and different scales interact with each other. Yeah. And one of my homeboys here that I grew up with, that's in Cabarrus County, we was at a party one night, and we heard some women talking about, well, why these girls in the hood, they can get all these men, we can't find no husband. He looked at me, he was like, what is this shit? You know what I'm saying? He couldn't believe it, you know what I mean? Because we didn't grow up like that. Like hood and all this, like call somebody, if somebody living they in a certain condition, they in a condition. It ain't, the condition don't define who they are.
Yeah.
So
I saw classes amongst blacks.
Yeah.
I was here when I first saw
never
like
saw that
true classism.
Yeah.
You know, true classism. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I never saw
like, but that's why I moved. You know, that's why I moved to West Charlotte when I came. That's probably that amongst, outside the fact they were close to 85. You know what I'm saying? I like they need to get back to Sport Spartanburg. I like that South Carolina water. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's like, it's like I could have moved, you know what I'm saying, like the real estate, they was trying to take me to what I guess they model said what I could afford. Well, instead I'm like, nah, you know what I'm saying? So, I end up on the west side and just, I guess I would kind of almost eat it up. People like, because in Charlotte, first two questions you're going to get, what kind of work you do, what side you on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying?
So I guess it was, again, for me,
but you more grew up. I mean, I know you ain't from it.
But even with this concept, like, and maybe because of what I came home, like I was matriculating out, but like I had my aha moment, and a couple months later, I'm in prison.
Yeah.
Right? So nobody had no time to really see it. So I came home. Now you talking, I'm away 7 years. I come home.
You came home out of chain.
I come home and they like, who's this?
Right. You're not even the same person.
My sister, I just had a recent conversation with my sister. Like you was like my little brother didn't come home. Yeah. I'm trying to have certain jokes with you. I'm trying to, you own something like, nah, I ain't on that. and my grandmother always been respectful, but Goldsboro, North Carolina, Eastern North Carolina, you talking about rooted to the tutor, baby. You talking about you don't eat pork.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for my grandmother really being like, and my mama really being like, all right, we gonna make you these greens on the side with, maybe some turkey in or something like that.
You've been stuck.
Nobody else in my family gonna do all that. Man, listen, that's what's in there.
You gotta go eat up.
You don't eat. I mean, I ain't got nothing. They, again, not necessarily disrespectful in no confrontational way.
But you gotta make it how you make it.
But I did, and that whole block your blessings. I had an aunt tell my mama that, like, oh, he in there with that Allah stuff. He gonna block your blessings, And then to come home, listen, I was hard body revolutionary, right? But Muslim. Then I run into Rome, and them like, man, I don't know about all that Islam stuff. It's Egypt, Kemet. I'm like, I don't know about Kemet. So this is what I get from them, and I'm getting thrashed. You help too. I'm getting thrashed on being Muslim.
Yeah.
You know, from another level of awareness. Like, and I remember having my children and giving my children, except for Nala, giving my son named Jihad. Right? And I remember Jay's addict saying to me, so you just gonna trade one slave master's religion for another slave master's religion? Threw me all the way up. I got kids with names already.
Right.
Hold on, how am I supposed to just undo this? And then when you start making them justice, like, oh, now it's like, what you on now?
Right.
Like, oh man.
But you know, but the way I don't want to use the word attack, but the way that I approached you with that, I actually want to apologize for that, because how I matured in my understanding now, we always lived in pluralistic societies. Mm-hmm. And so the notion that we always got to be like, everybody's into this, it's got to be this, it's got to be this.
Yeah.
It's only that the family you choose to be with, y'all decide what y'all going to be a part of. But everybody else can do what else they want to do. You know what I'm saying? We somehow forget that we lived in pluralistic society. That's what made Africa so unique.
Yeah.
They weren't forcing everybody to be on something.
No, I got you. Now, and I appreciate the apology.
Yeah, because I mean,
I'm glad.
Okay, okay.
But
I'm gonna take that off.
But
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say two things. But going along with what you just said, that is what made us unique. That is also what made us weak, because we so damn tribalistic as a people. Because we do that. Yeah, we have our differences as a people, but we don't just. So you have it on two sides. We can accept it, but we also fall out over it.
Right.
We'll fall out over it though. You know what I mean? I can accept what you're doing.
But I would say this, the tribalism thing, and I'm challenged with the whole tribalism argument, right? Because you should be able to be tribal. Tribalism just didn't work for us in the face of Eurasian hegemony. Like invasion and other cultural groups coming into Africa trying to dominate us, and us being in these splintered groups and not seeing ourselves as a unified people to defend ourselves. Yeah, or I'm a trade off people for whatever. That hurt us. But take out the Arab and the European, us being tribal wasn't a problem for us.
It wasn't a problem. That's I agree. And that was going to be my second thing. That, I was just going to kind of say it, because as you were saying, I just kind of thought about it. So you were saying, and it's crazy because where everything is now. And Peace Brother almost, doing such a magnificent job. So you didn't know
it. On time too,
you didn't know this back. You wasn't around back then. So they can tell you where everything is now. But with all the arguing among, just not arguing as in falling out with Rome, just us as brothers and comrades, building each other.
That's right.
Building each other. My stance and the always eliminate argument always was what? Fuck all that, man. We African.
Yeah. You
before it got cool to be African.
Right.
I like, man, shit. I'm African. I'm good. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we gonna agree on this melanin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna agree on this melanin. We gonna agree on this black love, and we gonna build on that. We can sculpt each other. Yeah. We can sculpt each other. Right. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, and again, anybody who may be watching, man, don't get it twisted. I mean, knowledge is key. You know what I mean? Right. Definitely build, definitely study. I don't mean to make it sound like I ain't done no studying.
Oh, we know.
You know what I mean?
You got every book.
Right.
You got every DVD.
Yeah,
listen, you are the plug.
Yeah,
Drake got it.
Hey,
Drake got it.
Anybody want to go toe to toe, blow? I'm with it now. I'm with the static. You know what I'm saying?
Music.
Some of the DJs out there, if you want a history lesson in music, let me know. Absolutely. So I ain't not saying that by no means. We just talking about how we came up.
But again, to your point though, what we have to do, right, as far as organizing our mindset to organize towards liberation, is not that complicated.
I'm gonna say something because both of you said something that lead to something that historically actually happened. Askil Muhammad, the last powerful ruler of Sungai, right?
Okay, yeah.
This guy literally made the people put less focus on tribalism and more on the state.
Yeah.
So you saying your argument is, okay, whatever, we all Africans at the end of the day, let's start all the argument, we Africans. That mentality can work with people being all these different things.
Oh, definitely.
As long as the common thread is, okay, this is what we, so this all this other common stuff that people have. The problem I have, and where some stuff I won't tolerate, or I should say have a hard time tolerating, is this stuff that's speculative history.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Native American, and you know what I'm saying, becoming a white man, taking other people's identities and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah, those things
Leave folks stuff alone.
See, it's those arguments where I have the issue with. Like, you can't prove this. Okay, maybe it was a few Africans. I can't deny that.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like it was something.
Archaeologists, there ain't no archaeological evidence.
What's your
There
threads?
was no African civilization
Right,
in the Americas.
Right. And why is it nobody have any elements of those languages in their family?
Yeah.
You know, same thing with the Hebrew thing. You can't find me now one Torah in Africa. You can't find me nobody speaking Hebrew or any offshoot of Hebrew in West Africa or Central Africa. You know, then they get these flags of somebody saying Negro land or whatever. Yeah. Okay, what time period was this flag drawn up, right?
Yeah.
And I understand they use the term Negro in Spain and all that, and they refer to Jews, but they weren't referring to us at that time. Because, I mean, black, whatever.
Well, some people also act like the camera is an ancient technology.
Right.
Just because they're so, you see this picture of this dark skin, you know when the camera was made? Yeah, it was some
they really start filming like 17.
Living amongst some other people at the same time by the time the camera came around.
The very late 1700s, like 1790 something, and early 1800s.
Stuff that happened
camera just
came.
Yeah.
Because I found pictures of people who was around in West Africa during the time of the very early 1800s, like in those periods of all the upheaval. And the pictures, they look dark because they had the right lighting. They couldn't change the exposure time and all that stuff.
A lot of times, let's be clear, and I'm for all the smoke, whatever. The tribes that most folks claim actually, the tribes that white folks actually call the civilized tribes.
Yeah.
Own slaves. And these be the same tribes that most of the black folks who say they got some of it in them claiming. Yeah, you might. But it's the same thing, but you mad if you pull your genetics and you see the white boy in there.
Right.
Oh yeah, and you go, listen, all your white and you ain't happy to you through rape and force either.
Right,
Some
exactly.
folks did it by choice. Let's be clear.
Yeah, some people
and same if you, but I'm telling you, most of them won't find it. They do a DNA test, not gonna find no Native American genetics in them.
Like me, right? This guy that I've been made aware of who did this whole thing, he did a DNA test. He found out that he was Yoruba, and I can't remember what else. But he also had some Spanish genetics in it, right? So he associated that with the Jews that was in Spain, just by chance, right? Because I think it does have something dealing with like maybe the Sephardic thing or whatever. And he has this. So he's like, see, if you have this DNA, because the Yoruba say, you know, that they come from the Middle East and all this stuff like that. I'll say, man, he talking about the origin story, and I said, the Yoruba also say that a chicken brought some dirt down, scratched and created the earth. So that creation story don't have nothing to do with the Bible's creation story.
Absolutely does
all right,
not. Yeah.
So when they do this stuff, I'm like, okay, so I have the same DNA, genetic affiliation with the group you're talking about, but I don't have the Sephardic stuff.
Gotcha.
So how in the world are you talking about he used this particular DNA he had and generalize it for everybody who has DNA? People using DNA wrong, try to explain stuff. Because DNA is not nations. What it is, because some people might have moved next to somebody, adopted somebody else's.
Absolutely.
I'm Yoruba and Fulani.
Yeah.
That means probably some Yoruba person.
We were migratory. We exploring.
Yeah. Because some Yoruba person might have been adopted by the Fulanis, or some Fulani might have been adopted by a Yoruba person.
People now and how you got daggers and Ghana, daggers and
yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm with all it. And as I say this, I ain't debating none of it.
Yeah.
But for those that want to, you know, hey, I'm a Native American, I was never here by way of whatever. As long as we can acknowledge and understand that we are the original people on the face of this planet, you know what I'm saying? We the greatest people that ever walked the face of this earth. Can we agree on that? And let's get liberated.
I can agree with that, but I can't let that go.
Well, I got to get liberated because right now I'm getting our ass kicked.
So that's my thing.
So I got to get liberated.
So whatever you claiming, that's my criteria, right? For now, right? I think some stuff we should flush out later on. But for now, whatever you identify with, do you identify that one, you ain't got no friends, and that you are completely dominated by Eurasians. Your life, the globe, and that dynamic. You are powerless people, and that dynamic has to change for you, regardless of
all the other shit.
Correctly identifying.
No, I agree with what you're saying. The problem with that is a person from that vantage point, they not necessarily gonna bond with you because of how they view Africa.
Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm challenged with that, and we ain't got enough time to go into it. But I'm challenged with that because at the same time I'm saying that you couldn't come to me and tell me like link up with me and you homo.
Right.
And then you can identify that the white man is your enemy and he must go and all that. I'll still be like, I don't know, right?
Right, yeah.
So at the same time, I'm kind of being a little hypocritical.
No, because you're talking about value. But you're talking about value system, though. We talking about value system, though.
Maybe not.
Hey, but see, you talking about value system, though. So see, that don't align with your value system. Like it don't align with my value system.
So to wrap up, three quick things to wrap up. Top 5 black liberators, right? Influences. 5 most influential black African liberators. On your life. Yeah. That's what we do here. We're about liberation here.
When you say liberator, you talking about whether academic or actual.
It don't matter as long as they was, as Seti says, as long as they was banging on the beast.
So Dr. Clark. Garvey.
Okay.
Malcolm. My daddy.
Okay. Yeah. Bird.
Who'd you say?
His father.
Oh, okay.
Daddy. I mean, Dr. Carter G. Dr. Carter G, major influence of mine.
Gotcha. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's many more, but you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, for me.
Looking at your development, like and some stand out more than others when we talk about our personal development, not the struggle itself, but
For me, it's Dr. Clark. I even include Elijah Muhammad, because without me reading him, I probably wouldn't have moved forward to other things. But so Elijah Muhammad, Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben. Boy, it's hard, but Bobby Hemmett. I put Bobby in it because Bobby taught me how to think independently outside of what traditionally is being said.
Yeah.
That critical thinking is what I learned from him.
Yeah.
The 5th person would probably that's going to either be, it's going to have to be Garvey.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be Garvey. Garvey made the biggest impact on me because the vision that I had inside of myself is a vision that was already articulated by him.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my first influence was Omar Wiley, Malcolm X. Again, like I said, read cover to cover, boom, I'm in the game. My second greatest influence was Poor Righteous Teachers. Like I said, they're hip hop, but that was the group that really resonated with me. Between them and X-Clan, kind of tied. Then my third biggest influence was Fred Hampton. That happened while I was doing time.
Yeah.
Got on Fred and went there. Coming home was Amos Wilson.
Yeah.
Was who influenced me, and then currently I would say Emil Cabral.
Yeah.
Is my 5th. All right, so let's jump on this. And me and his brother Lily had a throwdown in a poetry spot one time, digging in our bags about books, right? And listen, crazy. Just that we literally got bags of books up in the poet while everybody else, I don't know what y'all talking about. We over here debating about the hottest quotables out of what books. And so top 3 books or lecture influences on your personal development. And we ain't got enough time to go into why, so I won't hold you into the why. We'll get back to the why.
Okay. Dr. Carter G. I got to add to the other list. Since you put hip hop, I got to say Tupac. Anybody know Tupac? I'm a Tupac guy. Tupac my guy. So you throw hip hop in, you can't do hip hop without me mentioning Tupac. All right, that's my guy. All right, but Dr. Carter G was a miseducation Negro. hands down. Anybody know me? That's the book. Blueprint for Black Power and Autobiography of Malcolm X. Yeah.
Yeah.
No question.
For me, it's a little book, Garvey, about Marcus Garvey. I think it's written by Tony Martin. It's a blue and white book.
Oh yeah, blue and white joint.
Because it literally tells you how to just be a person. You know what I mean?
It's the lessons. What is that?
Yeah. It's something like that. That book.
Lessons of
Philosophy and Opinions.
No, not philosophy.
No, his wife did that. Amy did that one.
You're talking the one Tony Martin did, the little blue and white book. I think it's the lessons of Marcus Garvey.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, literally tell you how to just to conduct yourself.
Yeah, it's lessons. Yeah,
that book that was a real influence on me. Blueprint for Black Power, of course. This book, as far as metaphysics, this book called The Secret Science. That most pivotal, and this book called, wait a minute, I got it here, I ain't have it with me. It's called, it's by Muada Ashby. It's called, it's got Patal on the cover. It's white, but I can't remember the name of the book. This book influenced me a lot because he was able to break down physics and the
that Tantra joint is.
No, not that one. I got that one. I keep that one in the drawer right beside the bed.
Put some different stuff in the game over the years. Go ahead, brother.
I put that one beside the bed.
Yeah, that one talk.
Yeah. It's called matter or something. But it deals with explaining physics through the Kemetic philosophy, and he also deal with like some of the Indian stuff, and he also like brings stuff from the Bible. And he show how it was deeper than what people say, you know what I mean? So that book, that was a big influence.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
For me, of course, again, going back, first cover-to-cover book, Autobiography of Malcolm X. Then I think the one that also then jumped out at me coming home would have been, it was the lecture and the book, Blueprint for Black Power. When I first listened to I was like, wow, this dude's something, different. And then currently, got over here that still Mutu Wambizi. And that between that and Self-Healing Power by Fukuyama are my current biggest influence. But I always throw my art in there. Without a doubt. University Kemet Press.
And you know
and
what?
because it makes my art
practical
in and I'm in that sense.
I always can figure out a way to go back and look into that. And Ron for our man, that Medulla Tell book volume 1.
You find your way back to it.
I can always that and that 11 laws.
Man,
them book, woo, yeah.
Gotcha.
He did that in both of those, but and lecture wise.
Urugu.
Yeah.
If I didn't narrow it down to just 3, absolutely.
My lecture is Great and Mighty Walk. I think.
Great Mighty Walk. No class. Anybody in listening land.
Yeah.
If forget all the, Great and Mighty Walk. If you ain't did that one, you got to go and do that. And
I always use Great and Mighty as the intro.
Because it makes you, it pulls, it shortens the distance between ancient and modern, and you see how you see a thread through the whole thing through his life. I mean, it couldn't be done better.
Yeah.
So last thing for today. What's your legacy? A legacy you want to leave through it all? We challenge. One of the things I had to conclude, the things I really want to see, I'm not going to see in my lifetime. Sometimes that's a hard thing to grasp, right? I won't see it in my lifetime. I'm building for another generation. What's the legacy you want to leave in this lifetime?
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think the legacy I want to leave is the ideal that you don't have to allow yourself to be dominated by other people, and that you can actually do it. You just got to do it. It's the belief in oneself is what we lost. That's how we lost that self-confidence, believing in ourselves. So I hope that people can see like that dignity, the foundation stuff that I learned as a kid. I hope that will be the legacy I leave, that stretch for dignity and sovereignty.
Gotcha.
And those things, the two together, dignity and sovereignty.
Absolutely.
If we don't strive for those, we have no future at all.
That's a hard question. That's a whole show.
Mm-hmm.
But that, you know, grind and hustle. Grind and hustle. You know what I'm saying? If there's no struggle, there's no progress. You know, love is an action. It ain't no emotion.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't no feeling. There's a whole lot of feelings to be out there that people call love. Love is an action. Mm-hmm. Just like respect. It ain't for me to say I'm respecting you. It's for you to say that you being respected. Yeah. And if I'm out of line, then you can say you being disrespected. Absolutely. Love work the same way. Mm-hmm. All right? It ain't for me to say I love you. We say it, and it's a beautiful thing, but in truth, it's for you to say you being loved. Yeah. And if it ain't love, then it's for you to put that in check. Yeah. All right? We got to start to understand that. We got to love our blackness. African, whatever you want to call it, you better get on it. Mm-hmm. And we at war out here, and the legacy is to understand that we are not our oppressors. We are. Right. We got to come into a certain level of understanding before we can even do anything about it. Yeah. We believe that we are the same as them, and until we start to believe that, then it ain't nothing going nowhere. Yeah. That got to be understood first. So, shit, I'm just trying to, goddamn start to put that out there before leaving the planet. Yeah. We can't get past that simplicity of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, equality under the law is totally different from what we are internally.
And start cracking the motherfucker head.
Fuck that before you get up out of here. So yeah,
that's what's showing, brother.
It's consistency. The consistency of the effort of being the best human I could be, and understanding what it means to be human from an African worldview, and striving it and with all of my living to demonstrate that in my life, and then institutionalize those thoughts, ideas, right, in these liberated spaces that are African spaces. Whether it's a school, whether it's hanging out in my front room, whatever it is, these liberated spaces that promotes the idea of one, re-Africanizing ourselves, right? Decolonizing ourselves, and once again being the best examples of what it means to be human. We're the first, best examples of what it meant to be human on the planet. Got to get back to that, you know, something I didn't touch on, but we'll get to it. Like, it took me a long time, even through all of the awareness and the consciousness, to stop being a whore. You know, to understand, like, I ain't call you no bitch, but the end results was the same. You get what I'm saying? Like, right. I had to change my being, not just my thinking, right? My whole being, and detox a lot of stuff out that was put in through this experience of life. So, and being consistent to that, I want people to be like, yeah, every time I know you, every time I seen you, you was on that. I don't know no other version of you. You was, when I think about you, I think about that, you know. And so, you know, in close, I want to say just one, this space is about promoting ourselves of being culturally responsible, right? That we assume, we make a pledge, we make a promise. That's what it means to be responsible. Like you say, go without saying, I got you. You ain't got to think about whether I got you now. You know who got you. Right. How do we do that for our people, right? And build a culture and determine what our culture is, and to be responsible to that and the people who are part of that. That's what I want in space, and having conversations around what that looks like and what that means. Because I'm also challenged with the fact of being black and American and African, that I don't have a culture. Right. Right. I have expressions of culture. Right. As things, but I don't have a systemized set culture that and that produces a desired outcome, right, consistently, right, and so I want to see that happen, and I want to at least start to help carve out the conversations, right, that starts to develop those philosophy.
The culture that we have and operate in is not a culture that progresses us forward the same way what they call the educational system. This is not education because it don't create a foundation that you can build upon. It's gonna make you build you, gonna build your family.
When Amos talked about what food do you eat, what clothes you were like, we don't know how not African, we don't know how far European we actually are, right? Like, and it keeps getting deeper and deeper.
Right.
Yeah. But you got to know it's there, because if you don't go in and first accept the fact that it is there, then you can't begin.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't go in, people like, well, y'all, we ain't losers. Like, we all fucking losers. And that's what you start to decide.
That's a whole nother week. Listen, Drew, we gonna end there because we gotta have that. You gotta accept that you losing.
Goddamn, you ain't gonna be a winner.
Before we even had a meeting, you gotta say you a loser.
Right.
I want to be free. I want you to be free. I want us to be a self-governing people, not having to